Green Bay now. Packers move to 5-2 as they hold CJ to under 90 yards. J-Lo, as you like to say,
Please.
Drew.
Thank you, Wow.
Now leads the league in both touchdowns and interceptions. Kind of an odd trophy to have there, I would say. Last season he had 32 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's got 8. So is this something or nothing, bro?
I don't think it's anything. Look, he does have, and I know people in Green Bay are comparing him to Brett Favre. He does have some Favre in it. He's a little reckless at times with the football, as you see from the interceptions, but obviously he's great in terms of throwing these touchdowns. Those 15 touchdowns, which are tied with Baker Mayfield, as you said, for the lead, that's in 5 games. Baker's played 6. Most other guys have played 6 or 7 games. So he is I think he's playing well. I think it's nothing. I think he's going to continue to get better and not throw the interceptions. But, yeah, with that team, with the run game, with the receivers they have, I don't think it's anything.
I definitely think it's something. Obviously, he's been great when you just look at one side of it, touchdown machine, getting the offense, opening up playbook, getting everyone involved. But it's also something with the interceptions. And we can gloss over it all we want to, but it's what bit them last playoff season.
And it almost killed them yesterday in a game their defense played perfect.
And it killed them against the Vikings.
Okay, that's real rich considering he's defended Patrick Mahomes' interceptions here. So let's be consistent. If interceptions matter, then we need to rip Patrick Mahomes for having more interceptions than touchdown passes.
So it's great when you still find a way to win. And he's been playing good enough to where they can still be in position to win, but it all is something. The 15 touchdowns, the 8 interceptions, it's all something to watch.
All right, so a couple things. One is, I thought Greg Rosenthal of the NFL Network made this point, and he's exactly right. The Packer fans that are like, oh no, might have another Favre on our hands are out of their minds. If Jordan Love, if you could right now press a button and be like, he's Brett Favre on the field, go ahead and take it. One of the 10 greatest quarterbacks ever, go to a couple Super Bowls, won a bunch of MVPs. And by the way, for the people that don't love the Chiefs being boring, it's an exciting quarterback too. You never know what's going to happen. And so again, just on the field, you take it. And also shout out to some of the kind of football nerds that I listened to all summer that were super high on this Jeff Hafley character from Boston College, who they hired to take over as defensive coordinator. He's been awesome. Yes, and the Green Bay defense has instantly, which Wilds almost punched me in the face last year because I said the Green Bay defense wasn't good.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
It was a real fight last year, but they weren't. But this year they are. I almost did that thing. With all that said, KW.
Thank you. Some sanity here.
Thank you. One of the NFC North teams is going to miss the playoffs entirely. I know everyone's like, oh, it's going to be the Bears.
It's going to be the Bears.
Okay, maybe. I don't think it's going to be the Bears because, as you very begrudgingly acknowledged the other day, they don't play good teams except for the division games. And so that's the benefit of the schedule and how it fell and all of it. And their tough game against Washington maybe isn't as tough because Jaden Daniels, God love him, had a hit in the ribs. He was dealing with an oblique or something like I am right now. It's tough for us skinny guys, man, get hit in the ribs. Right. And so I was concerned by some of this game from Jordan's perspective because CJ and the Texans offense could get nothing going. So just don't turn the ball over. Well, and he's still, you know what I mean? He's taking risks, man. And that's who, by the way, he had a turnover problem first 9 games of last year. And then the middle 9 games, he had like 22 touchdowns, 1 pick or something. Yep. And then so it's something to watch.
Yes.
Okay. It's a tiny something. I'm on the record talking about this, how I want, turnovers and interceptions reduced, right? I talk about that a lot, and I've talked about that with Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, and how to put him in a position to kind of minimize some of those things. But it is at the heart, right? He is a slinger. Jordan Love, right? It's embedded in who he is. So you're always going to have a little reckless, like a lot of the other great quarterbacks out there. But it's just, again, I find this comically absurd that we're going to act like this is this big deal when we have other quarterbacks, again, like Patrick Mahomes, throwing interception after interception after interception, and yet it's barely talked about. It's, he finds a way to win. he's doing what the offense needs him to do to find a way to win. And it's like, okay, sure, I guess. It just doesn't really make sense to me, quite honestly. Not to mention, some of these numbers are inflated. If you remember, also week 1, a couple of the interceptions were just not really good. There were slips and stuff. So you could probably reduce that a little bit. But I'm also sure he's probably got away with a couple passes that could have been intercepted. But also versus the Vikings, that game got so out of control kind of quickly that it really just became, hey, we just got to sling it, right? It's either going to be an interception or a touchdown at this point. Like, they were down by a lot, and it was just kind of like, hey, we just got to throw the ball down the field and see what happens. So I think some of these numbers are slightly inflated, but I do think it's still something to discuss and work on, and something that Jordan Love does need to do. He needs to work on he's obviously a game breaker and a game changer. He does need to continue to grow and elevate and evolve into his game management skills as well, which I think that is something that him and Matt LaFleur will do and will work on. That's why I don't think it's something. This isn't a fundamental issue in Jordan Love, right? It's his risk taking. It's not, oh, he just starts to throw the ball really badly, right? I mean, of course, like any quarterback, you're going to sail the ball over or underthrow someone or have some of those issues, but it's not the fundamental core issue of Jordan Love, right? So that's why I'm less concerned. It's not like he's just not seeing the field, right? It's not like he's like, oh, he's just reading defenses poorly and that's why he's throwing interceptions, right? That would be a more fundamental issue where you would be like, this is concerning. Is he not seeing the field very well? Is he being tricked by defenses? Like, what's happening? No, it's just he likes to push it, right? He likes to push it. He likes to go to the limits, which is what every all-time great does. And I've talked about this in a previous video. It's you can see this all the time in basketball, right? You have the Steph Currys, the LeBrons, the KDs. They push it to the limit, and that's why the best players make what seemingly the worst mistakes, right? Because they can do such amazing things that they ride that edge, and so they make mistakes and have errors and have moments where you're like, you're so amazing. Like, you've seen Steph Curry like take some pretty bad shots, do some crazy behind the back pass, and just have it go right out of bounds, and you're like, what are you doing? Like college players don't even make that pass. Like, what are you doing right now? And it's because they can. Because a lot of times they can make that crazy shot. They can make that behind the back pass. They can do those things. But when it doesn't work out, it looks extra bad. And that's the problem. There's not a single throw that Jordan Love can't make on the field. So sometimes you're going to see him make some bad throws because it's not going to be successful all of the time. But the key is to try to figure out when you make those types of throws versus not, right? The one saying that I really like is just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Steph Curry probably shoots from true half court. He probably shoots a pretty decent percentage from true half court, right? From literally the center of the court. But just because he can take that shot doesn't mean that he should, right? When you need it, when you're down by 2 and there's 3 seconds left, by all means, take that shot. And I talked about this also in my previous video, like his shot in the Olympics was not a good shot. And he's even joked about it a little bit because he saw KD and LeBron. Like, that was not a good shot. If KD and LeBron are like, what are you doing? Then it's a truly, what are you doing? Now, he made it, obviously, and that was great because he can make it. But technically, the right play would have pushed it right back. When you're open in basketball, your shot percentage goes up. When a shooter, like a KD or a Steph, they're like, when they're wide open, it's literally like, they shoot like 75-80%, right? If you see them in warm-ups, that's why they don't miss. But then when you have a hand in your face, the percentage obviously goes significantly down, and so it averages out to whatever the shooting percentage ends up being, 35, 40, depending on wherever the heck you are on the court. So yeah, when you can get a guy wide open, your shot percentage goes through the roof relative to when you have 2 hands in your face. So yeah, the right pass would have been to put it right back to KD, who would have been wide open, or even swing it then back to LeBron, who would have also been wide open. But Steph, being the greatest shooter on the planet, takes that shot because he can, and of course it went in. So that's what I feel as though it's happening with Jordan Love in a lot of ways. And I think it'll be something that he continues to kind of touch the limits, right? Test the limits, I should say. He will explore, he'll figure it out. Matt LaFleur will also evolve and learn how to put him in situations to minimize some of these bad throws, some of these interceptions, and I think they'll continue to evolve. It would be more concerning if Jordan Love didn't have Matt LaFleur as a head coach. If he had some defensive head coach or something like that, I would be more concerned. But he's got Matt LaFleur, who I think is a top coach in the NFL, so that's why I'm not very concerned. If it becomes a problem, I think it'll be resolved. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jordan Love and his interception problem? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.